In this tutorial, you're going to learn how to add interpretation symbols to your notation and how to extract individual parts and layouts from a full score. Once you've recorded and edited your MIDI note data to create an accurate score in terms of pitch and rhythm, you may find you want to add additional information onto the score. This could include dynamics, phrasing, articulation, and tempo markings. Look at this Cubase project. Let's open this score. Let's select all of the MIDI events by lassoing them, and let's open it all in the score editor. You'll notice I've already added quite a lot of interpretation markings to the score. For example, there's some staccato markings, some phrasing markings, some dynamic markings, and a tempo marking at the top of the score. The way to add interpretation markings to a Cubase score is to look at the symbol inspector on the left-hand side of the score editor, click on the appropriate tab, such as dynamics or note symbols, select the symbol you wish to add, and draw it onto the score. Let's start by clicking on the Note Symbols tab. Here we can select the staccato marking, and then I can simply draw in staccato markings above some of the notes in the first line of the music. You'll notice that when I move my cursor onto the score, it changes to a pencil tool. Now I can simply click like this, and again here, adding staccato markings. If I want to add a phrasing marking to a group of notes within the score, for example, in the first full bar of the oboe, let's go to the Dynamics tab, let's select the phrasing curve, go back to the score, use the pencil tool, and draw it in above these four notes. Cubase stores this information in one of three layers. The majority of information is stored in the note layer, such as staccato, phrasing, and dynamic markings. This means that these markings are assigned to individual notes, so if the note moves, the symbol marking will move too. Up here on the right-hand side of the toolbar area, you'll see some blue buttons. These allow you to hide and show various layout layers. For example, the title, the composer, and the page number have all been inputted within the project layer. If we turn the project layer off, you'll see these bits of information disappear and go dark grey. This means that in the project layer, any view of the score, whether it be the full score or an individual part or a group of parts, will always have this information that's stored in the project layer. For example, page number, title, and composer. This is a really useful and time-saving tool, which means that you only have to add things like a title and composer once within your Cubase notation. Let's have a look at an example. I've inserted this title and page information within the project layer of this Cubase score. Let's now go to the Scores menu and let's open up the Settings command. Here in the Layout tab, you can see I've created 6 different layouts, full score, oboe, all the way down to piano. Let's now select the oboe part layout and let's click Apply. You'll now see that I've got the individual oboe part music displayed, but I've also still got my page number, title, and composer that I created within the project layer. If we now choose the piano part layout and click Apply, we can now see that we have the piano staves displayed as both a treble clef and bass clef, along with the title, composer, and page number. Layouts are just different views of the same music. For example, a full score, an individual part, or perhaps just a single section from a full orchestra arrangement, such as the string parts. Each layout can allow you to change spacing, bar widths, number of bars per line, and so forth, and they are fully independent of each other. This means that you can change the width of bars in a piano part, but that same piano music can look quite different when it's actually contained in a full score. Every time you open a group of tracks in the score editor, you create a new layout. This is simply a different view of the same note data. Let's now look at the piano part. And we can see here we've got 4 empty bars at the beginning of the music, and further down there's 3 more empty bars. When you're working with individual parts from a full score, you often find there are large sections containing empty bars. It's possible to consolidate these empty bars using multi-rests. Let's have a look at the piano part here. Let's open up the staff settings. Let's choose the Layout tab, and let's look at the multi-rest function on the right. We need to tell Cubase after how many empty bars it should consolidate the rests into a multi-rest. If we set this to 2, this will tell Cubase that every time there are more than 2 empty bars to group them together and insert a multi-rest. Let's click Apply now, and let's have a look at what it's done to the score. There we go, at the beginning of our score there is a multi-rest of 4 bars, and if we scroll down we can see a multi-rest for 3 bars. This is a great way to make the individual parts easier to read and save space. Okay, so I hear you say, what about the full score? Let's now go back to the full score layout and check that the multi-rests haven't been included in that. Select the full score layout and click Apply, and we can see 4 empty individual bars of rest in the piano part at the beginning, and if we scroll down we'll see 3 individual bars later on in the score. Once you've started to work with an individual part, let's now work with the oboe part. So we'll choose the oboe and we'll go to the score menu and to the settings, and we'll select the oboe layout and click Apply. I may now decide that I want to change the physical spacing of the bars and staves on the page. For example, I may want to create a greater distance between each system. Let's click on the second system, use the modifier key of Alt, and then drag the stave down. This will create a bigger space between the first and second staves. You'll notice that because I held down the modifier key, all the subsequent staves are moved by the same distance. I may now want to change the positioning of the staff name, so I can select it, hold down the Shift key and click, and it will select them all, and now I can just drag them and let's move them close to the top of the treble clef. I may now decide that the notes are a little spaced out, and I could actually have more than 4 bars per system. Let's imagine we want to have 5 bars per system after the second line of the music. Let's go to the score menu, advanced layout and number of bars. I'm now going to change this to 5 bars and I'm going to click all staves. This means that from this system onwards, every line of music will contain 5 bars. On the final system in my music, I may want to indent the last bar or change the widths of each individual bar on this line. I can simply select individual bar lines and drag them to the left or right, and Cubase will change the positioning of the notes. If we now return to the full score, so we'll go to the score menu and we'll go to settings and we'll choose the full score layout and click Apply. And here we can see that the changes we made to the positioning and number of bars per line in the oboe individual part haven't made any changes to the oboe within the full score. Once again, reinforcing the fact that each layout is independent. Once you've edited each layout, you can simply select it and use the File menu and Print command to print out both a full score and individual instrumental parts. If you make creative use of both the layout and layers within the Cubase score editor, you'll find yourself able to produce really professional full scores and individual parts for your instruments.